Today, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful ideas for upgrading your thinking. It's this concept of building what's called a mental latticework.
You've probably heard this one before, right? If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. It's such a classic, but it perfectly nails, no pun intended, a huge trap at how we think. When we've only got one tool, just one way of seeing the world, we try to force every single problem to fit it, even when it's totally the wrong approach.
So that begs the real question, doesn't it? If having just one tool is so limiting, how do we actually build a better toolkit for our minds? How do we get a whole set of tools so we can see things more clearly and ultimately make way better decisions? Okay, so let's dig into this whole hammer and the nail problem. The issue is really about seeing the world through just one lens. See, from a young age, we're pushed to specialize, to become an expert in one little narrow field. But the real world, it just doesn't work that way. It couldn't care less about our neat little categories. And the legendary physicist Richard Feynman absolutely nailed this. He said, we break the universe up into these tidy subjects, physics, biology, whatever, just to make it easier for our brains to handle. But we have to remember, nature itself doesn't know about those divisions. It's all one big interconnected system. We're the ones drawing the lines.
So, if the world isn't divided up, how do we train our minds to think that way too? Well, that brings us to the solution: building a mental latticework. And this idea comes from a true master thinker.
And that thinker is the one and only Charlie Munger. His big idea is this: don't just collect random facts. Instead, you need to learn the big ideas from all the major fields, economics, psychology, physics, you name it, and weave them together in your head into a kind of latticework. When you do that, you suddenly start to see how a concept from biology, for instance, can solve a problem you're having in business. It's all connected.
So what are the things you're weaving together in this latticework? Well, they have a name: mental models. And it's a simple concept, really. A mental model is just one of those big foundational ideas from a field that gives you a completely new way to see the world. Think of each one as a new tool for that mental toolkit we were talking about.
And that's the bottom line, right? The world isn't divided into neat little boxes. So why should our thinking be? To really understand what's going on out there, we have to tear down those artificial walls we've built up in our own heads.
All right, I know this can all sound a little abstract, so let's make it super concrete. Let's go on a quick tour of some great ideas, and we'll collect a few of these powerful tools from totally different disciplines.
All right, first stop on our tour: economics. And trust me, this field is packed with ideas you can use every single day. Okay, opportunity cost. This one is huge. It's the idea that every single choice you make has a hidden cost, and that cost is the value of the next best thing you didn't do. So if you decide to spend an hour scrolling on your phone, the opportunity cost isn't zero. It's the hour you could have spent reading a book, or going for a run, or talking to a friend. It's a powerful lens because it forces you to constantly ask yourself, what am I really giving up with this choice? Okay, let's switch gears completely. Next up, psychology. This is where we find the tools to understand why we, and everyone else, do the things we do. Oh man, this one is a game changer. Incentive-caused bias. Charlie Munger himself says if you understand this one, it's like having a superpower. It's the simple idea that we're all, subconsciously pulled around by incentives, rewards, and punishments. And the scary part is, this bias is so strong, it can make really good people rationalize some truly terrible behavior, often without even knowing they're doing it. And Munger tells this absolutely wild, kind of chilling story to prove the point. He knew a surgeon who was just yanking out gallbladders left and right, even perfectly healthy ones. Now, you'd think, what a monster, but he wasn't. The thing is, his pay was tied directly to how many operations he did. So his brain, without him even realizing it, invented a whole new reality where the gallbladder was the root of all medical evil. He honestly believed he was saving his patients. That is the terrifying power of incentives. All right, for our final tool on this little tour, we're jumping into the world of math and statistics. And don't worry, this one's a surprisingly practical tool for solving everyday problems.
The great mathematician Carl Jacobi had this killer piece of advice. Just 3 words. Invert, always invert. What does that mean? It means when you hit a wall, when you're totally stuck on a problem, stop trying to push through it. Instead, flip the whole thing on its head.
This is the mental model of inversion. So, instead of asking, how can I have a great life? You invert the question and ask, what would absolutely guarantee I have a miserable life? And then you just don't do those things. It sounds so simple, but it's Genius, because it's often way easier to figure out what will cause failure. Laziness, jealousy, making dumb decisions, and just avoid that stuff than it is to map out a perfect path to success.
And of course, Charlie Munger has a classic, folksy way of putting it. It perfectly captures the essence of inversion. It's all about figuring out where the landmines are, where the dumb mistakes are waiting for you, and then just making sure you never go there. It's an incredibly powerful way to navigate life.
So, we've picked up a few cool tools from economics, psychology, and math. But here's the thing. The real magic isn't in having the tools. It's in how you connect them. Right, so opportunity cost, incentive cost bias, inversion. They're not just standalone tricks. They're meant to hang together on that lattice work. For example, you might look at a company and see how its incentives are set up, and then realize that creates a massive opportunity cost for employees who want to be honest. See, you just connected two models. That's the lattice work lighting up. It takes your thinking from being one-dimensional and makes it multidimensional. So, let's wrap this up. What should you take away from all this? First, become a collector of big ideas from all over the place. Don't stay in one lane. Second, always be on the lookout for the incentives that are driving people's behavior. And third, when you're stuck, remember to invert the problem. Flip it upside down. If you do these things, you'll be well on your way to building an incredible mental toolkit of your own. So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. Think about a problem you're wrestling with right now. It could be big or small, work or life, whatever. Now, try looking at it through one of these new lenses. What's the opportunity cost of your current approach? What are the hidden incentives at play? What happens if you completely invert the problem? Give it a try. I bet you'll be surprised at what you see.